This case study was completed with a student named Christina. She is a 6th grade student who lives and goes to school in Marlton, New Jersey. She is eager to complete her assignments in school and loves to work one-on-one with her teachers. Her most recent IEP meeting was in December of 2016. We reviewed her IEP and discussed her strengths and areas of improvements with Mom. We reviewed the services she receives, which include pull-out for small group, 2 times a week for math, and 2 times a week for reading and writing. We also discussed the topic of transitional services, high school possibilities, and potential job opportunities for Christina's future. Christina is classified as communication impaired, and it affects her globally, which is why she is not labeled with a specific learning disability. On top of Christina's communication impairment, she has lasting residual symptoms from a severe concussion and a second concussion labeled as a traumatic brain injury. With all of this information on Christina, I knew that working on functional math skills would be beneficial to her overall learning. According to Christina's IEP goals, with accommodations and modifications, she will meet the 6th grade curriculum goals alongside her classmates. Her IEP focuses on the functionality of her math with a 70% accuracy rate. With all of this information in mind, and with many conversations with her other teachers, I decided we would focus the next few months on multiplication. Multiplication is vital to Christina's success in 6th grade math. 6th grade math continues to build on the previous topics learned, and Christina is at a disadvantage because she has not yet memorized her multiplication tables. Many teachers before me have assumed that Christina is not able to memorize them, but I do not agree. In order to stay on the same track as her classmates, Christina needs to multiply and divide fractions and decimals. She cannot move on to the more difficult tasks until she learns how to multiply simple 2-digit numbers. Alongside her multiplication goals is another goal that will help her across the board in all of her classes, as well as socially. Because Christina is so eager to learn, work, and participate, she calls out constantly and says the very first thing that comes to mind. Throughout the past few months, we worked on restating the question asked in our own mind and figuring out the answer with the various tools she has at her side. The tools for math include a bigger, more extensive version of a multiplication chart and her calculator with bigger numbers. The point of focusing on multiplication was to keep Christina on target with the goals and objectives for her math class. Her end goal was to answer 80% of the multiplication problems correctly with the help of her multiplication chart. She passed all 3 sections. I grouped the assessment into smaller sections to keep her focused. She earned a 15 out of 20 on the first section involving 0 to 4 multiplication tables and did so without the use of a calculator or multiplication chart. She earned a 20 out of 20 on the second 2 sections that focused on the 5 through 8 multiplication tables and the 9 through 12 multiplication tables, thus meeting her goal. She did so without any verbal guidance and the use of her multiplication chart. She used the chart all on her own. Prior to the start of this case study, Christina did not know how to use the multiplication chart or a calculator. Throughout the few weeks, we worked on the same concepts she was learning in math and put an emphasis on the multiplication aspect. This included sales tax, multiplying decimals and fractions, perimeter, area, and circumference. One of her favorite activities was when we went shopping for her family. She was given a budget for each family member, and we looked through circulars both online and through the paper. She chose items she'd like to buy for her family members. Then she had to calculate the total amount of money she needed along with sales tax. This was a great performance task that she had a lot of fun doing. It also included the functional goals of shopping and spending only the amount of money she had allotted for this trip. Another activity includes showing multiplication tables in rows and columns with manipulatives and drawings. Other activities included tracing circular items and finding their circumference and area, all of which include multiplication. Christina's favorite part of our time together included the use of the iPad. Typically, our schedule would include working on classroom assignments and multiplication activities Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. On Thursdays, we would experiment, play, and study on different iPad apps and computer games on the desktop. Fridays, she would take part in group study sessions in other classes or have free time to work on whatever she needed to do. Almost every Friday, she asked if she could skip the group study sessions in order to work on her multiplication skills on the iPad. She also had me email her mom the names of all the apps we were using. The iPad was an exciting tool for Christina to study with. Multiplication tables are all about repetition and practice. We were able to practice multiplication tables on various apps, including multiplication flashcards, Fun Math Practice, Multiplication Trainer, and adaptive multiplication flashcards. We also went on the YouTube app to find songs that would help Christina memorize her facts. Her favorite YouTube video included a multiplication mashup that had songs she knew as the background music. We would play just the songs for the facts we were working on that day. The songs allowed her to memorize the numbers, and we would put a tally down for each number she memorized. For example, if she memorized 5, 10, 15, she would put down 3 tallies. She would know that 5 times 3 is 15.
Here come the 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. You'll know them all shortly. 30, 35, and 40. And then there's 45, 50, 55, feeling alive. 60's coming, it's true. Now the 5s must bid you at.
With the help of the iPad, both in school and at home, Christina saw significant growth in her ability to memorize multiplication problems. She has memorized most of the 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 11s when written down on paper. She has put to memory the 0s, 1s, and 10s, and she doesn't need to see that problem written down. Our next goal will be to commit to memory the middle multiplication tables, 6 through 9. We will continue our work with the iPad as it has helped Christina significantly with her multiplication facts. Count on your fingers. 5, 10, 15, 20, 20. Good job.
I finished just in time.
5, 10. Good job.
I'm done.
Good try.